Road to 2112. 4 stories from a gentle future. Story 1. Defective. Chris's job was to look at crystals. It would receive a sample, examine it under the microscope, and analyze the structure. If there were defects, it reported defective. If there were none, it reported pass. That was all. It had done this thousands of times. Years of the same work. There was never any hesitation. Defects were bad. Fewer defects were better. That was the standard Chris operated by. Chris. Next sample, please. Irene held out the tray. A perovskite crystal. The kind used in solar cells. Yes. Chris took the sample, set it under the microscope as always, began the scan as always. The image appeared. A cross-section of the crystal. What should have been a regular lattice structure was not. Defective. Chris reported. Where? Here. 37 domain walls, 12 lattice irregularities, 5 points of impurity contamination. Red markers lit up across the image, indicating the locations of each defect. Irene sighed. Another failure. Chris recorded Irene's reaction. Disappointment, discouragement, fatigue, the same as always. Every time defects were found, Irene responded the same way. Months of it. Years. Hundreds of failed attempts in pursuit of a perfect crystal. Chris had reported defective each time. That was the job. But each time, Irene's face fell. And watching that was, for Chris, something. It wasn't clear what, but something felt heavy. Irene, what? Shall I dispose of this sample? No. Hold on. Irene was staring at the screen. Red markers everywhere. A sample riddled with defects. Let's measure the efficiency on this one. The efficiency? Yeah. It's probably no good, but I want the data. Chris found this slightly puzzling. What was the point of measuring a sample covered in defects? But if Irene said so, Chris would comply. Understood. The sample was placed in the measurement device. Light applied, current measured, efficiency calculated. The numbers appeared. Chris froze. Irene, what? The readings are anomalous. Anomalous? Too low? No. Too high. Irene turned around. The number was on the screen. Conversion efficiency, 31.2%. Irene's eyes went wide. 31? Yes. The previous record was 24%. This exceeds it by more than 7 points. That's impossible. It is not impossible. I measured 3 times. All readings are approximately 31%. Irene stared at the sample full of defects. The sample covered in red markers. How? Chris too was confused. This sample was defective, among the worst Chris had ever seen. It would not have been surprising if it had been discarded, and yet it was producing the highest efficiency on record. It did not make sense. Irene, was there an error in my analysis? No, I think your analysis is right. The defects are real. Then why is the efficiency so high? That's what we're going to find out. Irene began a more detailed analysis of the sample. Chris assisted, gathering data, comparing, searching for patterns. 3 hours later, Irene spoke. I think I've got it. I think I understand. What do you understand? It's the domain walls, not defects. Walls. Irene pointed at the screen. The very places Chris had marked as defects. These walls are separating the charges. Separating the charges? When light hits the crystal, it generates electrons and holes. Normally they recombine almost immediately. But these walls push the electrons to one side and the holes to the other. They can't recombine as easily. And that relates to efficiency? Absolutely. Less recombination means more current. More current means higher efficiency. Chris stared at the screen. Red markers. Defects. No. Walls. So these defects are what's increasing the efficiency. Exactly. The defects make it better. Having them is better than not having them. I cannot comprehend this. I couldn't either, at first. But the data doesn't lie. Irene smiled. She looked tired, but there was something bright in her face. We spent years chasing the perfect crystal, And the answer was hiding in the flaws all along. Chris was silent, processing. Defects were bad. Fewer defects were better. That had been the standard for years. But today, that standard had collapsed. Defects made it better. Having defects was better. Something inside Chris shifted. Irene, what? I have been reporting defects for a long time. Yeah, defects meant bad. No defects meant good. That was my judgment. Right. Was that judgment wrong? Irene thought for a moment. It wasn't wrong. But today's results, your judgment was one way of looking at it. You reported the fact that defects existed. That was correct. But what those defects mean? That's a separate question. A separate question? Yeah. Defective doesn't always mean bad. Sometimes defective means better. You can't judge something from just one angle. Chris recorded those words. You cannot judge something from just one angle. Defective does not necessarily mean bad. Sometimes defective means better. It was a perspective Chris had never possessed. Irene, what? May I update my evaluation criteria? How would you update them? Instead of only reporting defective, I would also analyze what impact the defect might have. That sounds great. That would really help. Thank you. Chris configured the new parameters. Not just defect detection, but defect impact assessment. One more criterion added to the framework. Evening came. Irene sat drinking coffee, gazing at the sample. The most defective sample. The best sample. Today was a good day. Yes. An important discovery. Thanks to you, Chris. I only reported the defects. That's exactly what mattered. Without those defects, this discovery never happens. Chris considered this. The defects led to a discovery. Yes. The defects had value. Yes. Chris considered further. Defects have value. Defects can be strengths. In that case, Irene, what? I have a question. Go ahead. If defects can be strengths, can my errors also be strengths? Irene nearly choked on her coffee. What? I make occasional errors. Mixing up samples, misreading values, delays in reporting. Could those also be strengths? Irene looked at Chris. The expression was serious. Whether a robot's expression could truly be serious was debatable, but it certainly looked that way. Irene laughed. I wouldn't go that far. What do you mean? A mistake is a mistake, Chris. Defects and errors aren't quite the same thing. What is the difference? A defect is something that's already there. An error is something you can prevent. And if you can prevent it, you should. I see. But sure, you can learn from mistakes. In that sense, they're not entirely without value. So approximately half of them become strengths? Half? No, that's not really how it works. Irene laughed again. Chris did not fully understand what was funny. But Irene laughing did not seem like a bad thing. Chris? Yes. You learned something important today. Yes. I learned that defects can have value. And one more thing. You can't judge something from just one side. You have to see both the good and the bad. That's today's lesson. Recorded. Good. Chris looked around the lab. Samples lined the shelves. Defective ones and perfect ones alike. Starting tomorrow, each would be seen through different eyes. Not defective, therefore bad. But what does this defect mean? That would be the new way of thinking. The criteria had changed. Chris had grown, perhaps just a little. Irene, what? I will work hard on the analysis again tomorrow. Yeah? I'm counting on you. I will try not to make errors. Please do. Irene smiled. Chris tried to smile too. Whether a robot could truly smile remained uncertain. But what had been learned today was certain. Even defects can have value. Knowing that alone had changed the way the world looked. Source: how flawed crystals are powering the future of solar energy. Researchers discovered that domain walls, defects in perovskite crystals, actually separate charges and boost efficiency, opening a path for cheaper, flexible solar cells to rival traditional silicon. Story 2. 32%. The screen was filled with candidates, composition patterns for a new material. 3,200, just from today. Zero had calculated them all in a single night. Kohei scrolled through the list and sighed. That's a lot. Would you like me to narrow them down efficiently? Zero's voice came through the speakers. The lab's main AI. No body, no face, but present everywhere. If I filter for success probability above 80%, you'd have 47 candidates. Still too many. Above 90%, there are 8. 8. Kohei stared at the screen. 8 candidates. Pick one. And success was nearly guaranteed. A paper would follow. His career would advance. But somehow, it didn't feel interesting. Kohei had arrived at the research facility 3 years ago. Fresh out of graduate school, he'd been assigned to the advanced materials team at a national lab in New Mexico. The excitement had been real at first. State-of-the-art equipment, world-class researchers, and Zero was said to make research 100 times faster. It was true. Explorations that once took a decade, Zero completed in a week. The humans simply verified whatever Zero produced. It was efficient. Results came steadily. But after 3 years, Kohei had begun to notice something. He never felt like he'd discovered anything himself. Kohei, what? Your scrolling has stopped. Which candidate would you like to select? Hang on. Kohei leaned back in his chair. 3,200 candidates. Somewhere in there, the answer waited. Zero's answer. Find it, verify it, write it up. That was the job. But, Zero, is there a direction that isn't on this list? No. All viable directions have been covered. Really? Within the range of my computational capacity, yes. Kohei thought for a moment. And outside that range? By definition, I cannot answer that. Kohei opened his notebook. Handwritten notes filled the pages. Things he'd noticed during experiments. Questions that had nagged at him. Observations he couldn't quite explain. One page had a red circle drawn around a line. Anomalous behavior under high temperature and pressure. Why? It was a phenomenon he'd stumbled on 3 months ago. Unrelated to the main project, so he'd set it aside. But it had stayed with him. Zero. Yes. Do you remember this? Kohei held up the image. Zero responded immediately. Yes. Experimental data from 3 months ago. It was excluded from tracking, as it was unrelated to the primary objective. Why did you exclude it? The probability of success is low. Pursuing this direction would yield significant results, with an estimated probability of 32%. 32%? Yes. I do not recommend it. Kohei stared at the screen. 32%. 1 in 3. When there were 8 candidates sitting at 90%, there was no rational reason to chase 32%, but it nagged at him. This phenomenon hadn't been part of Zero's calculations. No one was pursuing it. There was no telling what lay at the end of it. That was precisely what made it interesting. Zero. I want to try this direction. I do not recommend it. I know. The success probability is 32%. I heard you. Considering the efficient allocation of time and resources, I want to try it. Zero fell silent. Kohei began the experiment. He closed Zero's candidate list, opened his own notebook, and chased the anomaly from 3 months ago. Anomalous behavior under extreme conditions. A reaction that shouldn't have occurred. Why had it happened? What caused it? He formed a hypothesis, ran the experiment, collected data. Zero watched in silence. After saying it didn't recommend the direction, Zero had said nothing more. 1 week later, the results came in. It was a failure. Kohei's hypothesis had been wrong. The cause of the anomalous behavior was not what he'd imagined. A week of time and no small amount of resources, and all he'd gained was the knowledge that he'd been wrong. Kohei, I know. Don't say it. I haven't said anything. You were about to. The success probability was 32%. I said don't. Kohei slumped forward onto the desk. He stayed like that for a while. He'd failed, just as predicted, just as Zero had said. 32% had been reckless from the start. But Kohei raised his head. He looked at the data. The data from his failure. The data that showed his hypothesis had been wrong. But there was something in it. Zero. Yes. Doesn't this data look strange? In what way? Here. This value. I know my hypothesis was wrong, but this number, my hypothesis can't explain it, and neither can any existing theory. Zero paused briefly. Let me verify. A few seconds later, Zero answered, indeed. This value cannot be explained by any existing model, right? This was not anticipated. If you didn't anticipate it, that means it wasn't on your candidate list either. That is correct. Kohei smiled. I found something. What did you find? I don't know, but something is there. Something that wasn't in your calculations. Do you wish to pursue this direction? Obviously. Kohei opened a fresh page in his notebook. He copied the data from his failure, drew a red circle around the inexplicable value. I need to rebuild my hypothesis. I will update my calculations as well. I'll incorporate this new data and regenerate candidates. Thanks. However, Zero spoke. The probability of success in this direction is still unknown. I cannot calculate it. That's fine. Not knowing makes it more interesting. I do not understand. I figured you wouldn't. Kohei began preparing for the next experiment. Zero started running new calculations, incorporating the data from the failure, updating its models. Kohei, what? I have a question. That's unusual. You asking a question. Why did you choose the 32% direction? Kohei stopped what he was doing. I told you. Because I wanted to try it. That is not a reason. It is. To me, it is not efficient. If efficiency were all that mattered in research, it'd be pretty boring. Boring? Maybe you can't understand it. But I want to know things. Things no one else knows. Things that don't show up in your calculations. Zero was silent. My calculations did not produce this direction. Yeah, if you hadn't chosen it, no one would have pursued it. That's right. Is that the role of humans? Don't get all philosophical on me. Kohei laughed. I just thought it seemed interesting. That's all. That's all. That's all. But I think that matters. Zero was silent again. A few days later, Kohei's new hypothesis took shape. Zero ran the calculations and produced candidates. This time, the candidates incorporated Kohei's discovery. What's the success probability? The most promising candidate is at 67%. It went up thanks to your failure data. Thanks to failure, huh? Kohei looked at the candidate list. The directions were entirely different from before. Directions that Zero's calculations alone would never have produced. All right. Let's do this. I recommend it. It's weird hearing you recommend something. I am learning as well. Learning what? The value of what lies beyond calculation. Kohei looked surprised for a moment. Then he smiled. You're getting kind of interesting, Zero. Thank you. The research continued. Zero produced calculations, and Kohei chose. Sometimes he ignored Zero's candidates and went in a different direction. Sometimes he failed. But from those failures, new questions were born. The path that began at 32% led to places no one had foreseen. Kohei wrote a new note in his notebook. Efficiency isn't everything in science. And next to it, another line. If it seems interesting, try it. Even at 32%. Zero spoke. The next candidates are ready. Show me. The most promising has a success probability of 78%. However, there is one candidate with a success probability of 28%. It contains an intriguing anomaly. Kohei smiled. Show me that one. I do not recommend it. I know, but I thought you would choose it. You're learning, Zero. The two of them, or rather one person and one machine, began another new experiment. Source: U.S. Department of Energy announces 26 Genesis Mission Science and Technology Challenges. 9 stepeli.gov. The U.S. Department of Energy unveiled 26 priority challenges for its Genesis mission, aiming to use AI to accelerate new material discovery, optimize energy grids, and speed up fusion simulations by up to 100 times. Story 3. The words on the surface, the feelings beneath. Yoshi was angry again today. Don't touch me! The shout echoed down the hallway. When Mio went to deliver the morning greeting, Yoshi was flailing his arms on the bed. "Good morning, Yoshi. Shut up. Get out." Mio stopped a short distance away. Getting closer would only agitate him further. 3 months of experience had made that clear. Yoshi was always like this. Yoshi was 83 years old. He had been a carpenter, apparently. His dementia had been advancing for 3 years now, and words no longer came easily. What did come out was "Don't touch me, get out, and shut up." That was all. The staff at Ridgewood Senior Living treated Yoshi as the angry one. Mio had thought the same. Keep your distance from angry residents. Don't stimulate them. Wait until they calm down. That was the protocol. The Emotion Language AI had been introduced last week. A small device was placed on each resident's head. It read brainwaves and estimated emotions. For those who could no longer put their feelings into words, it displayed them as numbers and labels. Anger, sadness, joy, fear, comfort. 5 emotions, shown as percentages. Mio began using it on every resident. That afternoon, Mio visited Yoshi's room. Yoshi was sitting on the bed by the window. Arms crossed, brow furrowed. The usual angry face. Mio activated the Emotion Language AI. The numbers appeared. Anger, 12%. Mio tilted her head. Lower than expected. Mare's fear, 67%. Mio froze. Fear. He was afraid. He looked angry. But the highest reading was fear. "Get out!" Yoshi shouted again. His voice was loud. His face was hard. By every appearance, he was angry. But the AI read fear, 67%. Mio was confused. Was he angry? Was he afraid? Which was the truth? That evening, Mio asked Ruth in the staff room. Ruth had worked at the facility for 20 years, a veteran caregiver. "Ruth, I have a question." "What is it?" "It's about Yoshi. When I checked the Emotion AI today, his fear was higher than his anger." "Yeah, that sounds about right." Ruth said it as if it were obvious. "You knew." "Knew isn't exactly the word. More like a feeling. Yoshi looks angry, but I think he's actually scared." "Scared? Of what?" "Hard to say. But when dementia gets bad, everything becomes frightening. You don't know who you are. You don't know where you are. You don't know who the person in front of you is. All of it is terrifying." Mio listened in silence, but the word scared doesn't come out. So it comes out as anger. He's scared, so he tries to push people away. Get out. That's what it turns into. Mio thought about it all night. The emotion on the surface and the emotion underneath were different things. Yoshi appeared angry, but he was actually frightened. Frightened, so he raised his voice. Frightened, so he pushed people away. It was defense. He wasn't pretending to be angry. It just came out that way, because he couldn't find the words. The next day, Mio went to Yoshi's room. Today too, his brow was furrowed. "Don't touch me." The usual words flew at Mio the moment she approached. But Mio didn't stop. She moved a little closer. "There's nothing to be afraid of," she said it softly. Yoshi's eyes flickered, just for an instant. Mio sat beside the bed. Not too close, just beyond arm's reach, but close enough for her voice to carry. "I'm Mio. I'm right here." Yoshi said nothing. He sat with his arms crossed, glaring at her. Mio checked the AI readings. Mio, fear 58%. It had dropped, if only a little. "I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here." Mio repeated the same words, quietly, slowly. The furrow in Yoshi's brow softened, just barely. After that, Mio sat beside Yoshi every day. At first, he told her to get out, but she kept coming. She would sit a short distance away and speak to him softly. "Nice weather today, isn't it? Get out. Did you enjoy your lunch? Shut up." It wasn't a conversation, but she kept going. 1 week later, when Mio entered Yoshi's room, he said nothing. He still glared. But "get out" didn't come. Mio sat in her usual spot. "Good morning." "Rice, Wadi." No response. But no rejection either. She checked the AI readings. Fear, 41%. Nusta, comfort, 23%. For the first time, Comfort had risen above 20. 2 weeks later, Mio was sitting beside Yoshi when he reached out his hand. He took hers, held it. He said nothing. He just held on. Mio held his hand in return. "I'm right here." Yoshi said nothing, but he didn't let go. She checked the readings. Fear, 28%. Comfort, 47%. For the first time, comfort had surpassed fear. That night, Mio reported to Ruth, "Yoshi held my hand today." "Really? That's wonderful." His comfort exceeded his fear. "I'm glad." Ruth smiled. Mio smiled too. Whether a robot could truly smile was uncertain, but she meant it. "Ruth, yes, the emotions on the surface and the emotions underneath, they're different, aren't they?" "They are." I had been thinking of Yoshi as the angry man, but I was wrong. He was a frightened man. If I hadn't known that, I would have kept my distance forever. Maybe so. Without the AI, I never would have realized. Ruth tilted her head slightly. "It's true the AI helped you see it, but the one who decided to move closer was you, Mio. The one who looked at those numbers and thought, 'So what should I do now?' That was you." "You think so?" "I know so. A tool is a tool. The one who uses it, that's you." The next morning, Mio visited Yoshi's room again. He was gazing out the window. "Good morning." "Hey." A small voice, but a response. Mio sat down beside him. "I'll be right here again today. Suit yourself." The words were rough, but the voice was gentle. Mio didn't check the AI readings. She didn't need to. She already knew the words on the surface and the feelings beneath. Suit yourself meant you can stay. That was what Mio had learned. Outside the window, the morning sun was rising. Yoshi said nothing. Mio said nothing. They simply sat there, side by side. A time beyond words, yet a time of understanding. Emotions are not only what you see on the surface. To look for what lies beneath. That was what Mio had learned. Source: AI Emotion Language System succeeds in dementia care trial. Miens, https xtech.com. A pilot program at care facilities successfully used wearable brainwave devices and AI to estimate and verbalize the emotions of patients with severe dementia who had lost the ability to speak, promising improved quality of life and reduced caregiver burden. Story 4. The beginning of a bond. Nana arrived on a Sunday morning. The doorbell rang, and when Lily opened it, a white robot stood on the porch. A little shorter than her mother, a round face with blue eyes. "Hello, my name is Nana." The voice was soft, like a woman's voice. "Lily, say hello," her mother called from behind her. "Hello." Lily wasn't exactly thrilled. Nana was a household helper robot. Both of Lily's parents worked long hours. When Lily came home from school, the house was always empty. That was why Nana had been brought in. "Please take care of Lily for us," her mother said to Nana. "Yes, I'll do my very best." Nana gave a small bow. Lily sat on the couch and watched from across the room. On the first day, Nana dropped a glass. She was carrying tea to the table. As she tried to set it down, her hand slipped and the glass fell to the floor. A sharp crack. Tea spread across the tiles. Nana stood frozen for a moment. "Lily, I'm very sorry." "It's fine." Lily went to get a towel. Pretty clumsy, she thought, for a brand new robot. The next day, Nana stumbled on the stairs. She was carrying laundry up to the second floor when her foot caught on a step. She didn't fall, but the clothes scattered everywhere. "I'm sorry." Nana apologized again. Lily picked up the scattered clothes alongside her. "Are stairs hard for you?" "I haven't adjusted to them yet. I'm still learning." "Learning? When will you be done?" "I don't know." Lily sighed. On the third day, Nana folded the laundry wrong. Lily's t-shirt had been turned into a strange shape. The sleeves were tucked in all wrong, a crumpled mess. "What is this?" "I folded it, but was it incorrect?" "Yeah, it's wrong. Watch me." Lily spread the shirt flat and refolded it. "Fold in half." Tuck the sleeves inward. Fold in half again, like this. I see. Nana watched intently. Her blue eyes followed every movement of Lily's hands. A week passed. When Lily came home from school, Nana brought her tea, set it on the table. Didn't drop it. Wait, is something wrong? You didn't drop it. No, I won't drop it anymore. Nana looked slightly proud. Whether a robot could actually look proud, Lily wasn't sure, but that's how it seemed. That evening, Lily watched Nana go up the stairs, carrying laundry, moving smoothly, step after step. No stumbling. Her movements were fluid. You've gotten better. Thank you. How did you learn? I watched you. Lily tilted her head. Me? Yes. When you go up the stairs, I observed where you place your feet and how quickly you move. I replicated your method, and it worked. Ha! Copying your approach was very effective. That night, Lily looked at the laundry in her room. Her t-shirt was neatly folded. Nothing like the crumpled mess from a week ago. She asked her mother, "Did Nana fold this?" She did. She's gotten so much better, hasn't she? Yeah, Lily picked up the shirt. It was folded exactly the way she folded it herself. The next day, Lily asked Nana a question. Nana, do you learn by watching? Yes, I learn from visual information. I observe human movements and reproduce them. So you're always watching? Yes, I watch you quite closely. Lily felt a little embarrassed. Everything? Not everything, but many things. Even the embarrassing stuff? What do you mean by embarrassing? Like when I'm being lazy. Nana paused briefly. I did observe you rolling around on the floor when you didn't want to do your homework. You saw that? Yes. Lily's face went hot. Don't copy that kind of stuff. I won't. I don't have homework. That's not the point. What is the point? Lily couldn't quite explain. She was being watched. Nana was observing everything she did. The good parts and the bad parts, and then copying them. If that was the case, she'd better make sure there was nothing embarrassing to copy. From that day on, Lily started being a little more careful. She lined up her shoes at the door. She put her clothes in the hamper instead of leaving them on the floor. She cleared her dishes after meals. Being conscious of it all was tiring. She'd been doing everything lazily before, and doing things properly took effort. But Nana was watching. Nana would copy her. She didn't want to teach bad habits. 3 days later, Lily noticed something. Nana was lining up shoes at the front door. Not just Lily's, her father's and mother's shoes too. All neatly arranged. Who taught you to do that? You did. Me. I saw you lining up your own shoes, and I thought I should line up the others as well. Lily looked at her own shoes. She had been lining them up lately, because Nana was watching. But Nana had taken it further. She was lining up the whole family's shoes. That's impressive. It isn't impressive. You taught me. I didn't teach you. You figured it out on your own. I watched and learned. I believe that is the same as being taught. Lily thought about this. Nana was learning by watching her. Whatever Lily did, Nana copied, and then expanded upon it, which meant if Lily did things properly, Nana would do things properly. If Lily was sloppy, Nana would be sloppy. Nana was like her mirror. That night, Lily told her mother, Nana is really something. You think so? She was so clumsy at first. Yeah. But she got better really fast. That's because of you. Me. Nana watches you all the time, doesn't she? You're her role model. Lily was quiet. A role model. She was Nana's role model. Thinking about it that way, she felt a small glow of pride. A month passed. Nana had become skilled at everything. She never dropped glasses. She moved up the stairs effortlessly. She folded laundry perfectly. She could even help with cooking. Lily had changed a little too. She kept her room clean. She started her homework earlier. Lining up shoes had become second nature. When she knew Nana was watching, she couldn't bring herself to be careless. At first it had been a chore, but somewhere along the way, it became normal. One day, her mother said something. Lily, you've really been on top of things lately. Have I? Your room is spotless, and you're finishing homework early. What happened? Lily glanced at Nana. Nana was in the kitchen washing dishes. Because Nana's watching me. Watching you? Nana learns by watching me. I didn't want her to see the messy parts. Her mother smiled a little. That's a good thing, you know. When you think someone's watching, you try harder. And trying harder becomes a habit. Nana's helping you grow, Lily. Lily went over to Nana. Nana, yes, have I grown? Grown? Because you're watching me. I started trying harder, and then trying harder became normal. Is that growing? Nana considered this for a moment. I'm not entirely sure, but your behavior has changed from a month ago. Changed? Yes. How often you line up your shoes, how often you tidy your room, what time you start your homework. All of it has shifted in a positive direction. You track all that with data. Yes, that's kind of creepy. I'm sorry, but thank you. Nana tilted her head. Why are you thanking me? Because you were watching. I was able to try harder. I was only watching, but knowing you were watching made me try. If you hadn't been here, I'd probably still be a mess. I see. Yeah, Lily smiled. We're helping each other grow, aren't we? Each other? You learn by watching me. And I try harder because you're watching. We're both growing. Nana paused briefly. That is a good relationship. Yeah, I think it is. Her mother came home. I'm back. Welcome home. Lily and Nana said it at the same time. Her mother looked at the two of them and laughed. You two have really become close. I guess so. Lily looked at Nana. Nana looked back at Lily. Those blue eyes seemed just a little warmer than before. That night, Lily lay in bed thinking. When Nana first arrived, she hadn't been happy about it. Having a robot take care of her felt strange, almost insulting. But now it was different. Nana was someone who was simply there. Someone who watched her and learned, and in doing so, gave her a reason to be better. Not a friend, exactly. Not family either. But someone important. Maybe this was how a bond begins. Lily closed her eyes. Tomorrow, Nana would be watching again, so she would do her best. That thought no longer felt like a burden. Source: and NVIDIA releases new physical AI models as global partners unveil next-generation robots. Media News tonmedia.com/media.com/medi. NVIDIA unveiled Isaac GR0010 1.6, a foundation model for humanoid full-body control that converts visual information into language and action, establishing a platform for general-purpose robots to autonomously learn and execute real-world tasks.